Hello everybody, Brett here for TopoRanger, and welcome to another episode, hopefully another adventure. We're back for part 2 of the Juniata Aqueduct video, where we're actually gonna explore and document the lock that leads up to the aqueduct. Now, I know where these ruins are, but I've never seen them. They look pretty impressive on the LiDAR, so I guess we'll find out. I wanted to go back, if we can, to the place we were where we ended the last video, which was right by that one of the big piers there, so we can pick up exactly where we were. I'm not sure what's going to happen. There is ice on the Juniata and there's ice on the Susquehanna because it's been so cold here in PA lately. The ruins are off this way. I'm going to cut that way down the Juniata, and I'll pick it up at that first big ruin that I found last time, but I didn't include in the last video. Okay, I'll be back in a few minutes. We have made it to the mighty Juniata, which is looking fairly ice-free at this point. That's heading down river towards Duncan, and there is a, what is that, a juvenile bald eagle perhaps? Right there you can see the other side of the river. There's a big pier. I think there were 1, 2, 3, 4 piers in the river that were completely ruined. And then you hit this one here, which we did document on the first part of this episode. And that's the last pier until you hit the actual canal. And that one was in pretty decent condition. Now for the main event. So what is going on here? There was an aqueduct, which is a bridge filled with water that the canal barges used to go across, leading up to the aqueduct over here. And you can see it in the LiDAR. There's a big approach, and then you hit a lock, and then it's about 350 to 400 feet of what I think are going to be stone ruins until we get to the end where the old bridge or the old aqueduct would have started. It would have went from here to what's there behind me now. And this is probably going to be a pretty robust construction because of all the weight and just the complexity of having a water-filled bridge go across the Juniata way back in, 1850 or 1830, whenever they built this sucker. And it's already pretty big. Look at that. That's a 25-foot wall. There were a few things that I noticed from the pictures that I took at the end of the first part, and we can clearly see that now. There's this divoted section here which runs almost the whole way across. It's shaped like this, right? So my guess is that has something to do with timbers they used to construct the bridge, probably set in there. And then there's these little recess spots right here, and there's one over there, and there's one right here. So obviously something stuck in here. I don't know what, but there is hardware here. 1, 2, 3, 4. But this whole thing is about 20 feet high. So this would have went directly to that, and then 1, 2, 3. Then the next big one, probably another lock on the other side, maybe. I'm not sure. And then the canal went up that way on that side of the Juniata River. This is like Thorn Alley, so I'm not going to go back there. And look at that green patina. 1 block missing. And it wraps around there. So why don't we head up there, and then we should just pop up to the top if we can and see what's going on. Let me just get across this. Ow, ow. Log oak thorns here. We were just down there, now we're up here. We can see this curving wall from a different angle. And right here, it almost looks like steps. Well, let's go here and just pop, 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 and see if we can get right up to the very top. I'll tell you, these thorns are bad out here. So as we go up these makeshift steps, you can really see the curve of that wall now. And there is a ledge. You see that? About 2 or 3 blocks down, there's definitely a ledge they put there on purpose. one right on my head. There is an art to moving through thorns. I haven't figured it out yet. We're up top now. Let's see if we can make it over there. We're right above the curved wall here. So here's the front, or the end of the actual canal, as it used to then take its course over the first span, which would have reached out to that pier. And here's the prism. It's kind of obscured by all these thorns. And this is all thorns. The arcs would have come right here, right over the edge, boom, 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 over to the other side. The question is, how do we get to the lock portion of the ruins without having to deal with all of these thorns? Let's head back this way. Not sure what this wall represents other than a support wall. Just trying to hold up the massive weight which would have been just blobbing right off this side. It's just thorns and trees. So we'll hit the steps and we'll walk back this way. This downriver wall runs right to there. Yeah, hold on, there's a big hole in the ground here. Let's see what that is. Hey guys, check this out. Oh. Now you look in here, you say, oh, it's a well. But is that a well? Very well could be. That could be an indicator, maybe the lock tender's house is around here, or it could be something related to the drainage. Meaning if there are any culverts coming through this part, this could have been part of the system of drainage tunnels maybe that existed. I don't know. The bottom of it looks like, well here, I'm just gonna send you down there. All right, we got 1,000 lumens. It's only about 6 or 7 feet down there. The bottom looks pretty dry. You can see the moss and all the stuff on the rocks only goes down about 3 or 4 feet, and then the rocks are kind of bare. Camera's about 1 foot off the bottom right now. I don't see anything with my eyes, but maybe I'm missing something. Plus, I don't know how far it's filled in there. Kind of strikes me as a weird place to put a well right next to a big canal construction that leaks, that needed a lot of repairs, that this whole area is a floodplain. It just doesn't strike me as the kind of place you'd put a well. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Leave it in the comments. That's a good question, what that is. Let's keep following this trail. What I'm doing is I'm going along and I'm checking this downriver wall just to make sure I don't miss anything like a culvert. Oh wait, what's this? Hold on. There's some kind of big depression here. Aha, you know what this is, guys? I think this is possibly, I'm not 100% sure, I think this might be the foundation to the lock tender's house. But you never know with the canal stuff because there's always stuff that's hidden. It's too bad it's so obscured by the thorns. I've often wondered about lock tenders, like what kind of lives did they have? Because I imagine they got free room and board, but then they probably didn't make that much money. This downriver wall just keeps going. Again, I'm just scanning for any kind of tunnels or pits or any kind of clue as to what is going on here. So a lock tender would have had to been somebody who was very resourceful, multiple sources of income, because you had to be there when the canals came through to operate the lock, to pull that thing, and the water spills out. When they could, they probably tried to keep a schedule, so they knew when they had to be there and when they didn't. But then they probably also had to do maintenance. I mean, but you would get a free house. You could have a family there. You know, maybe sometimes the kids would run out in summer and do the lock. I don't know. Okay, so now we're at the approach, right? over there is the Susquehanna. Right behind me is the Juniata. According to what I can see in the LiDAR, the canal used to come right up here, and then right here it gets super wide. The berm's there, the other berm's here, so they would have had plenty of room to maneuver the arcs. Let's head down to the bottom of the prism there, out in the middle there, just to get a sense of what kind of surface area this big pool, this big approach pool, or whatever they called it. I'm not sure what they called it, I just made that up. This is the bottom of that approach pool right here. The thorns thin out, and you can kind of get a sense of scale here. This whole area would have been just 4 to 6 feet of water, and you would have had multiple arcs being staged here, getting ready to take their turn to go over the aqueduct. Perhaps it was a choke point where things would get backed up, and that's why they need such a large pool right here. You could turn a 60-80 foot arc, you could turn one around in here. And here we are, heading into the lock, trying to avoid the thorns, which is pretty much impossible. Here it is. Oh, it's falling apart, man. It is not looking good. This whole thing is gonna crater soon. It's like, that's that red sandstone. This looks like limestone. This is something else. And look at these big iron staples they had put in there. What's this? There's this odd shaped forked stone here. See this? Everything's frozen on. You see that shape? It's like where did that come from? What was that for? Obviously it was up there. And look at the way this one just sheared off. Oh man. Yeah. This sucker has seen better days. Wow. It's nice because there's no water in it. Look at that wall. It seems like this side is in better condition. Ah, okay. Here's the full shot of the full length of the lock. Probably 100 feet, 150 feet. And then right behind us, the prism has been elevated. And then you get back to the regular berms of the canal. And from here, it would have been a straight shot, probably 100 feet, 150 feet that way. Then you would have hit the aqueduct. Oh, I see some wood. There's some wood there. Wow. And there's a lot of stuff underneath here, but it's really hard to see. All right, let's get back down there. Just look at the level of degradation this thing has suffered. It's neat though, because it really exposes the construction. You can really get a good idea of the way it was built. You know how they probably built a wall and then they backfilled it with all these stones. But look at these stones, they're very they're placed. They weren't just a jumble. I've seen some canals where it was just a jumble. Here, I got the light so we can take a peek in there. Look at that. It goes way back in there. I wouldn't be surprised if the groundhogs were tunneling into this sucker. You can start to see the mortar right there. Over here. There's a big hole there. Look at that. That goes way back there. It's probably 8-10 feet. Look at the way these blocks here are just starting to peel out there. You see that? Oh yeah. So in other words, don't hang out underneath that block. Look at that. Yikes. I guess that one is that one. One thing I was thinking was that it was possible that people came here and maybe stole some of these blocks, or they are just in fact buried in the muck here. I guess this one probably popped right out from here. There's another huge groundhog at it. Lots of cobwebs. There's a little nest up in there, you see that? And there's another one. My guess is that they're all just underneath here. And it's a whole section. Starts there and goes the whole way to there. This has to be the biggest one by far in terms of just inner destruction. That's a fatal crack right there. It's just coming right out. Here I wanted to show you this big piece of wood. This is the biggest hunk of wood I've seen on a canal lock. I don't mean the ones that are preserved, but I mean just the random wild ones. The gates would have been down there, and there would have been another set of gates here, there, and then right here would have been the sill. This would have been one of a whole bunch. You can see the way that washer fits in there. So this part here would have been covered with wood as part of the actual gate. Same over here, because you can see we have those iron bars there too. There's a close-up of what I think would have been the sill, because you can see right here, this would have been the new level of the upcoming canal, right? And this angled stone would have been part of the sill that would have went across over there. And it's possible that this whole thing was flooded, and that's what contributed to this, or this could have happened 100 years ago. I mean, who knows? That's what's cool about ruins, is that you don't actually know. It is kind of like a mystery. Well, there is the lock, guys. Pretty impressive. We've already found the well, the lock tenders, house foundations. We found the main lock here. Some of it is in pretty bad condition. Some of it looks pretty good considering how old it is. So now for the grand finale, we're gonna head right over here and see what that volcano thing is like. And honestly, that's the thing that's really been picking at my brain while I've been here today. But hey, nice locks, right? So let's go over there and find out what that is. And there's a little trail which goes right up there. So let's go ahead and take it. All right, that's the beginning of the lock, or the end of the lock, depending on how you look at it. We usually came down there, I went in there. Now we need to be over there somehow. This looks like a good trail. Let's try that one. I'm 100 feet off of the canal now. So this anomalous thing, it's got to be right here, between here and there. But it's just thorns everywhere, interminable. This thing has got to be pretty obvious given its size. The whole mound is probably 80 feet wide. Is this it? It is a mound, and it has, hold on. I think this might be it. Yes, this is it. Okay. So before we try to figure out what this thing is, what do you think it is? Leave it in the comments. I'm thinking best case scenario, some type of storage something, like an underground storage space where they would have put coal or something that would have been needed to be stored next to the canal. That's all I can think of. Okay, all right, here it is. And it is definitely a mound. It's not as high as I thought it would be, but let's say the floodplain's there. The top of the mound is up there. So maybe a total of 8 to 10 feet. And the first thing I saw was this, which to me, what is that? You see that? Is that a well? Why would somebody put a well here? Whoa. When I stick my head down a little bit, there's a breeze coming out from beneath the rubble. That's basically right behind the camera right now. To me, it looks like my breath is coming right back out, and I can almost feel it on my face. Is this another well? That wouldn't make sense. Here's a shot with my feet and part of my legs, just to kind of give you an idea. I do have the camera on like super wide lens, so if there's distortion, it's a little bit bigger looking in person, I think. Yeah, so that's about 6-7 feet. But that rubble at the bottom, I think there's air coming up out of this. So let's go over here, or maybe let's go to the base of the cone and walk around. All right, it's going down the middle. Show me underground storage chamber. What the? There's definitely a big depression here. This looks more like a foundation. You see, right there's the edge of the canal, and there's a big pile of rocks there. So the LiDAR wasn't lying. There is in fact a very large circular depression at the top with a rim of about 40 feet is what I had measured. And it does go down, but it just goes down into what I think are foundations. For what, I don't know. But then again, maybe that's why that hole is over there. Maybe that is in fact a well, and this was some kind of house. Canal, wall, wall, wall. It's a big rectangle. It could have been some type of storage. It's just not an underground conical storage chamber, which is what I kind of wanted it to be. We found the lock. We found those 2 wells. We found a whole bunch of foundations. We got to inspect the riverside part of the aqueduct. So go ahead and hit subscribe, ring that bell, follow me on all the platforms, and please share me on the socials, because that helps my channel grow. All right, this is Brett for TopoRanger, and I will see you in the next episode.